Hey everybody, it's Richie 3Jack here with another week in review for October 21st, 2012. Just saw the McGladrys, where Tommy Gainey won his first ever PGA Tour event, shooting a final round 60. He hit 17 greens. His average birdie putt was 25 feet 9 inches, which is really spectacular. The tour average for a golfer that shoots in the 60s is more about 35 feet. And his putts gain was at 5.119. To get an idea of how good that is, Jonas Blixt was leading the tour going into the McGladrys in putts gained, and he was at 0.8 or so in putts gained. So Tommy Gainey at 5.119 is just incredibly good. And that's what we tend to see when I researched the data on the golfers that shoot 64 or better on tour. What happens is that they get their average birdie putt much closer, and then they start making those putts. Because if you can get putts inside 15 feet on tour, their make percentages go way up. So what happens is if you get a guy who starts out on fire hitting shots, and then he makes those putts, then his confidence just builds, and then he just keeps on hitting great shots and then making those great putts. I think some of it has to do with, I just think that if you're able to hit shots really close on full swings, then you're probably, the stars are aligning, and you're probably got your timing on, and that also translates over to your putting. But for the most part, if you want to shoot a really low score on tour, you pretty much have to hit the ball fantastic on tour. It's not about making 30-foot, 40-foot putts, because those are hard to make it, and your probability of making those are very slim anyway. Although that being said, it did help that Tommy Gainey did knock one in from the sand for an eagle on, I think it was 14. It was kind of a surprising win in the sense, because if you look at the Seaside course, when I did all the rundown of the numbers, it was clearly a course that favored good putters and good short game players. What you were seeing was, in the first 3 rounds, was that you would see some really good ball strikers do pretty well. But that was because they were just hitting it. They had the ability to hit it close, so they have to worry about their short game, and they didn't have to worry about those really treacherous, long, 30-foot putts that you could 3-putt easily. But I thought those guys were pretty much dead in the water, which was for the most part the case, because sooner or later they couldn't hit every green, they couldn't hit every shot close to the pin. So that's why, I had Furyk and Brendan de Jong as a couple of my picks, and Furyk finished 3rd, and de Jong finished 4th. So Gainey, that's not really Tommy Gainey's game, short game and putting. So he was just on fire with the ball striking in the final round, and good for him. As far as the tour goes, top 125 list, I believe we'll see Boo Weekley make the top 125. He's at 683,000 for the year. I've got number 125 at about 665 for the year. So we only got one tournament left. So I think he's most likely made it. Other than that, you've got, let's see, 122 is Jeff Maggart, 123 is Kevin Chappell, Rod Pampling at 124, Billy Mayfair at 125, Trevor Immelman's at 126, but he's got exemption for next year because he won the 2008 Masters. Got Gary Christian at 127, Alexandre Roca at 128, 129 is Bill Lundy, 130 is DJ Trahan. Let's see. On Monday, we went over, showed video update of my own golf swing, which is coming along pretty well. I was experimenting with a couple things and pieces of my golf swing, and I had to get used to a little bit of that. Some of it kind of screwed up some other pieces of my golf swing, but it's starting to get better and better and better. And I shot 73 at Celebration Golf Club on Saturday, and that was with a double bogey on the par 3 16th. And I started hitting the driver pretty well, so we'll just keep on updating those. And if anybody's ever got any interest in who I work with a guy named George Hunt, who's no relation to me. George works out of Atlanta, Georgia, or the Decula area at the Trophy Club. I think it's called Trophy Club of Appalachia. But you can always check out George at www.moradgolfgeorgehunt.com. We also showed some swings of Roger Chapman, who I think's got a really great golf swing. He's on the Champions Tour, which is really even more incredible. I'd like to see more of his stuff. From time to time, I like to show videos of golf swings that I really like, and just give some people something to talk about, and a little bit of my perspective. I think a guy like Roger Chapman, he keeps the club on playing well. It's there's not really any big giant compensations in his golf swing. He doesn't have a big pivot stall, which I don't really like to see. It's really a problem that I have in my own golf swing, and it's slowly getting better and better and better. Let's see. We also went over had the update of the certified D-plane instructor list. That was something that a reader of mine suggested that I see if I can come up with, because he got sick and tired of going to instructors who went by the old ball flight laws. So he wanted to know if he could get a list together of instructors that had that know D-plane and use it in their own golf swing. My goal is to get 2 qualified instructors for each state in the United States. But if you're not in the United States, or if you're another instructor in a state that's got a lot of D-plane instructors, still feel free to give me a ring. I can be reached at richie3jack@yahoo.com. Let's see. We've got Lastly, I went over on did a little post on analyzing missed tendencies on tour. Part of the reason why I did this is because I put it on the blog because I kind of wanted to make a post showing my thought processes on analyzing the missed bias on tour, because I didn't know what the answer would be as I was making the post. So I kind of went along and tried to bring the reader along with me, per se. What I've interpreted is that when people talk about one-way misses, it's probably a bad term to use, or maybe a little misleading. If you look at the blog post, what you see is that the most effective golfers off the tee on tour tend to not have any big miss tendency. They don't miss the fairway right all the time, or they don't miss all the fairway left all the time. And I think the reason why is, for one, you've got times on tour where you cannot miss the fairway to one side. Like I think it's number 4 at Bay Hill. It's got water hugging the entire left side. There's no way you can make over that water, and there's no way you can go left of the fairway. If you do, you're in the water. So you have to miss. If you're going to miss, you have to miss right of the fairway. And if your miss tendency is always left of the fairway, let's say you got a 67% miss tendency left of the fairway, well, now that's going to be a problem for you. And I think the second reason why is, if you have a big tendency to miss right, that just means to me that you have a a miss that is a big block or cut or something that goes off to the right that you really can't control. So there's some other things I want to kind of try to do with that. I might come up with them in the next week or two. But I think what I would generally want to see from a tour player is to keep their missed tendencies inside 55%. Either way, that's a little easier said than done. But I think if a golfer's missed tendency is greater than 55% on tour, then there's probably some mechanical issues that they have, and they got to figure, or maybe even some equipment issues that is causing them to struggle with that certain shot. But the other thing too, as we saw, is that most of the more effective drivers on tour tend to have a right miss tendency than a left miss tendency. And I think the reason why is because if you're missing shots right, we can say that's a push. I think that means you're probably more closer to being on plane, and you probably have a path that is closer to being square. And then if you hit a push, then your club face got a little bit too open. But if you hit a pull, now you got some possible path issues, and I think more of a path issue. Maybe it's kind of a thing to debate because face angle tends to change a lot more in the golf swing than path. But either way, what we see is the most effective drivers on tour, when they do miss, they tend to miss right instead of left. Well, that's about it for this week. Next week, hope to come up with a little something new as far as some interesting news going on with the blog. So you check out for that. And we'll also have another PGA Tour rundown. This will be the last tournament coming up in Disney, and we'll see what we can do from there. All right, talk to you later. Bye.